Hello on the Rockers. On this episode, we've got magic to do as we chat with the man who never sleeps, the mastermind behind the gaming and magic worlds, Randy Pitchford, magician, founder of Gearbox Entertainment Company, responsible for some of the most popular video games around, and keeper of one of the most rare magic collections, and so much more. We have a lot to talk about with my co-host, model musician, the bubble butt with a brain, Steven Dehler, and me, your sassy host with the sassy most. Buttons and bows and pantyhose on the Rocks podcast.
The place where too glam to give a damn. Raise a glass. It's on the rocks.
Thank you for being
Boulevard.
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Bumpy night indeed. Welcome to the show. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at On The Rocks On Air, and on Facebook, On The Rocks Radio Show. Send us an email. Book us for a pride, funeral, quinceañera, Brits. We don't care. We'll show up. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. Send us your comments, your guest requests, and your guest questions.
Yes, this show is presented by Straw Hut Media. You can watch and or listen to every one of our over 390 episodes at ontherocksradioshow.com, YouTube, Facebook Watch, on I Love Gay, LGBTQ, and Bear Magazine.
Right. All right, we're going to jump right into it, but real fast. You've worked on some of Randy's shows, right?
Well, yeah, we worked
It's like the eye candy?
Well, yeah, we did a show earlier this summer, and yeah, it was basically like a little Chippendale. What do we call ourselves? Chickendales?
You were the poultry. You named it.
But then we changed it to Chickendales.
We said
right?
all the way from Chickendales.
Yeah, the Poultry Pals. Yeah.
I love that.
It was based on the
Steve was one of the Poultry Pals.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was amazing.
No one could figure out how the
we fooled some people.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to say, you got to see some of behind the scenes. Do you know how some of the illusions work?
Just how this specific trick worked, but it was really well done. We had a lot of magicians that were coming to the show, and no one could figure out how about the trick, how it happened.
All right, yeah, he did learn some secrets.
I did.
Well, Steven's known for his tricks, but not like that.
Wow.
I have a really fun fact to share with our On The Rock audience. When I started the podcast 15 years ago, my very first guest, and we were doing podcasts at Sunset Gower Studios before podcasts were
It's called internet radio back then.
Yeah, I was like, wow, okay, you have an internet show, cute. And I was like, no, it is cute. Gay Blackstone was our very first guest. She was married, of course, to magician Harry Blackstone Jr., and she had a big part of the Magic Castle. So she and I have shared many martinis at the Magic Castle. We even got the ghost piano player drunk, but that's another story. But we're here for a lot of stories, so let's introduce our guest, the man of the hour. I don't even know where to start. I could talk for half an hour and still not share everything this mastermind has done. But today is about magic. Randy hails from a magician family, grandnephew to Richard Valentine Pitchford, a.k.a. Cardini. And Randy himself started working professionally as a magician at age 21 to put himself through UCLA. At that young age, he was also inducted into the Academy of Magical Arts. He owns the private Peacock Theater at his main home in Texas, hosting variety and magic shows. He also owns one of the most rare and valuable magic collections, which we're going to talk all about. He's been awarded the coveted Award of Merit by the Academy of Magical Arts. And in 2015, he became the owner and custodian of Genie Magazine, the largest selling monthly magazine for magicians. First established in 1936, by the way, and in continuous publications ever since. We're going to talk how that's lasted. And in 2022, he became owner of the famous Magic Castle in Hollywood, California. And the gaming community would kill me if I didn't mention his history making work as a gamer, founder of Gear Entertainment. He's had his hand in some of the biggest video games in modern times, including Borderlands, Brothers in Arms, Halo, Half-Life, and more. Please welcome Randy Pitchford.
Oh my God.
That was a mouthful.
I needed to do a line just to do that. And I don't even know where to start with you, but we always like to start at the beginning. We like to understand a little bit of how the mechanics work. Looking at everything that you've done in these two distinct genres, I just have to know what kind of kid you were.
Well, they're the same. A, it's entertainment. And B, anytime we tell a story or kind of create a world, we're asking people to come along with us, like follow the rules, come into our world. And if we're doing it right as entertainers, when they come with us, then we'll give them something. We'll give them joy, wonder, surprise, delight, something. And magic and video games are very similar in that regard. They come along, follow the rules, and then here's something amazing that you'll feel or experience. And I don't know, it's just always been something that, I don't know what the hell's wrong with me, but it's like I only feel things if the people around me are feeling things. So I think that's like part of having the heart of an entertainer, is just needing to give people experiences so that we could feel something. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. I don't know.
Maybe a little. We like to show off in different ways, but yeah. But true or false, your dad he was a part of intelligence, and he would do gadgets for some of the agents.
Yeah.
Is this like James Bond shit?
Dude, my dad was amazing when you look back at it. So at one point he was a Disney Imagineer.
What?
He was also a literal rocket scientist making telemetry systems for like Minuteman missiles. And but yeah, at one point he was in military intelligence, and he would design technology and mostly communications equipment and other computers for the U.S. government to spy on shit.
And he would bring some of the computer stuff home, and that's kind of how you got
I learned how to
involved.
program computers. Is my dad built stuff for me, yes.
And you designed your first game when you were around 11. What was that game?
I mean, look, the truth is at the beginning, it's not like, oh, here's a completed, you're just tinkering around and messing with stuff. So around, or I'd say even earlier than that, I was doing little bits and pieces of things. But my dad ran a bulletin board system, and I would sometimes create things and upload them to share, so people that were dialing into the bulletin board could just find these programs, and I'd sometimes make up names because I'm just a kid,
right?
So it's like, and I'd like create a backstory for the author, so nobody knew it was just some punk kid trying to do stuff. It's like, oh, this is a professional, but no, it was just me in my bedroom goofing around. Without friends, but
so that's what I was gonna get. Were you kind of the computer nerd that you were always at home tinkering away, but were you also doing like school theater to get that entertainment buzz?
Yep. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely did school theater. I did all of that stuff. Every single year I was in the school, at least one of the school plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you got me.
That makes sense.
I'm cellophane. You're looking right through me.
But you're like the theater nerd that could do tech as well.
It's funny. I spent a lot of time with my computer. I felt really comfortable with it. In fact, at some point you feel like you can kind of relate to the machine more than you can relate to a lot of other people. So it's really comfortable, kind of safe space. But there's always, you can always find your people.
Yeah.
If you're lucky. And yeah, theater was that for me for sure. But magic too. Magic nerds are another breed that are kind of similar to computer nerds, also similar to theater nerds in some way. We're all just different species of nerd, and I kind of grab them all.
the floating nerd.
Yeah, exactly.
Any type of nerd you want. Sexy.
Nerd and sexy. These are words we usually hear in the same sentence.
I love Star Trek nerds. Are you kidding?
Oh yeah, he's a Trekkie, so that's another nerd.
That's a whole different kind of nerd. But I assume that then you must have been great at math. You must have been great in science and all this. What were some of your worst classes typically always growing up?
Oh man, I did pretty. You know what? I did pretty good in school. I didn't really have bad classes, to be honest. But it's weird. I would do the spectrum. Like I didn't really have like, oh, I could do math, but not good at English. No, I didn't. But to me, a lot of school was boring.
Yeah, you probably were challenged enough.
It was all the other stuff that was really fun. You know? So I did just enough, but I did pretty well. I did okay. I wasn't like I was a pretty normal kid. I didn't really get in trouble.
No. You look at your resume, no. And so just to dive right in, like we said, you got into magic very early on.
Yeah.
You had the family weigh in, and I want to share with our audience. You are related to the great Cardini. His career spanned almost half a century, and as lore has it, he started working with card manipulation, card magic when he was in the trenches during World War I in the British Army. And he was having to do it in the freezing cold, and so he was used to doing it with gloves. And that carried over to his signature style, tuxedo, cape, top hat, gloves.
You've done your homework.
Oh, I've done my homework. But we're talking about this magician genius. He appeared at the London Palladium, Radio City Music Hall. He performed for Al Capone, Harry Truman, Queen Mary, King George.
Multiple kings and queens.
And he worked with the Marx Brothers.
4 different presidents in the White House.
And working with the Marx Brothers.
Yeah,
I mean, that is part of your history.
I have footage of the Bob Hope shot. from the Wings when they would work together at the Palace Theater in New York City.
insane.
So Bob Hope's the MC of the show, vaudeville era, before he blew up as a radio star, and he's shooting Cardini from the Wings with one of these. It's
your
wild.
family legacy.
Yeah,
This was just destined for you.
It's pretty wild. I don't know. It seemed to be. I don't know how it works, but magic bit me, and it hasn't bit like all the people in my family.
Yeah.
So I don't know how genetic it is or not, but it definitely grabbed me.
And you were just a baby when Cardini died, so how
Yeah.
did you inherit his books, his kind of energy?
I didn't exactly inherit.
You stole them.
every-
Okay. Now it comes out.
there was a family reunion in, I think it was in Chicago or something when I was young, and I'd already started to get pulled into that world a little bit. And Swan was still around. That was Cardini's wife, and she gave me a book that was way too advanced for where I was at the time, but it was actually pretty awesome because when you
challenge.
when you see that, you're like, oh man, I'm just. Like it makes you kind of realize there's a deep rabbit hole you can go down, But most of the like important stuff in Cardini's act, his collection, you could say, their daughter Carol held on to, and Swan, Cardini's wife, who was also in the act, kind of made Carol commit at some point, put all the stuff in a museum, and she never quite figured out how to do that. And at some point, there was another guy in the magic community that convinced her that she should put everything up for auction. And when she made that decision, I wasn't going to like negotiate with family members, but if it's an auction, then it's like, okay, now it's smart. And so I promised her, I said, I'm going to get everything in the act, and we're going to make that museum exhibit.
Wow. And
so I did, and it cost a freaking fortune, but we did it, and now that museum exhibit is in the Magic Castle.
It is.
And it's awesome. Yeah.
What was it about Cardini's life, and looking back and studying everything that he did, which is huge, what is it about his life that affects you the most in looking at his career?
Well, like I said, I was very young when he died, so I didn't know him, but there was another uncle I had, Samuel. I called him Uncle Sam. And he just worshipped Cardini, but he was like he was like into puzzles and magic. He was like into this stuff. And he's the one who really introduced me to that, and also kind of helped me understand who Cardini even was. And I think what he gave me was that it made it kind of accessible, Like sometimes when you see an unbelievable performer in their element, and it's like you don't even feel like on the same plane as them. Like we're just mortals down here, and there's a god, But Cardini's family, and it made me realize like you can do it. It's not like there's not some mystical superpower. It's really about commitment and time and passion. And it turns out that if we like something, we do it a lot. And when we do a lot of something, we can start to get pretty good at it. And that was Cardini. Like he did the same act for 40 years and became an absolute master at his craft.
Like you said, working hard, and we talk about this on the show often. It's people who want to be famous are in a whole separate group than people who have a passion and a talent and will do whatever they need to do. You started doing professional magic at the age of 21 to put yourself through school.
Yeah, well,
that was
a side effect. Like I definitely needed money, but it was like, well, I got to get a job somewhere. I was working at Universal Studios as a city guide, as a tour guide when they built the City Walk.
Yeah.
Do you know the Universal City?
Yeah.
So they were built. I'm dating myself, but they were building the City Walk while I was working as a tour guide, and one of the places was going to be Wizards, and I'm like, that's going to be a magic club. So I went in there and like, hey, I got to talk to somebody because I think this is going to be a magic club. And I was talking with this guy who ended up being the proprietor. He was, I didn't know it at the moment, but he asked me to do a trick for him, so I did. And then he said, you got a tux? And I said, yes, and I didn't, but I lied. And he said, well, we're going to open in 6 weeks. Come back in like 4 and we'll get you set up.
But that takes the fortitude, and what we said is like, the worst you can get is a no. So in entertainment business, you just keep at it and keep at it.
Numbers game. You just swing at it. Yeah.
But you were so young. What were some of the first, what were your core illusions at age 21?
I mean, I don't know if you call them illusions or tricks.
Well, but here's the thing. I've also been told by magicians,
Yeah.
it's low class to say tricks.
Is it?
That's what somebody told me. Like, we don't call them tricks; we call them
You know,
illusions.
different people have different opinions on that. You know, I think
Well, you're kind of the head honcho right now. What is your?
Because they're illusionists, and isn't they separate from magicians?
I don't care. I don't really have dogma about that. But I think maybe it's fair to say that for some people they had to do that cute little trick. That's kind of like a reductive way to think about magic, which. You know, but look, the truth is it's like any medium, you know, the best of the best is just frickin' art. And on the bottom end, it's just garbage and it doesn't deserve to exist. And there's a wide spectrum between those two endpoints. And those people that are, you know, trying to do the best stuff to treat it with, you know, magic's been around as long as there's been us. And we still need it for some reason. And the techniques we're using, it's the same, like, we're not using technology like people think we are. You know, we're using the same techniques we used 3,000 years ago to fool people.
I mean, even the magicians that were in the Bible. The Bible's full of magicians.
Yeah. It's magic.
Yeah.
It's magic, and it has a lot of purposes. Yes, there are some people that can use deception to kind of convince people that they have special powers. But a magician is honest. It kind of starts with the premise like, oh, this is all bullshit, right? Just by saying you're a magician, it's a trick. We're going to fool you not through supernatural something. We're gonna do something illusory. We're gonna do something deceptive that makes it seem like a miracle's occurred. But in fact, there's a natural explanation for it. You just don't know what it is. And that's what a magician is, someone who's telling you in advance, I'm gonna trick you. And then when they do, something wild happens, which is, you get wonder, but you also know you've been tricked, which I think is a really important thing that our species needs because it teaches us something about our relationship with truth. You know, because a lot of people just kind of want to believe that they can't be fooled. And yet, here we are in a world where you can convince someone that the earth is flat or, you know, I mean, look at politicians, for fuck's sake. They can convince people of anything.
Well, I have this question later, but I was going to say, what relevance does magic have in today's current society? And you nailed it on the head.
And that's it, right? So it really drew itself to me in that way. And I think a lot of magicians have that. I think a magician, the thing that makes a magician different than, say, a con man or a thief or a charlatan, because they all use deception. Or a politician. Some
psychics even use.
Yeah, not some. I mean, if any psychic starts by saying, "I can help you access, like I can help you talk to your dead relatives, or I can actually read your mind," they're lying. That's deceitful. And if they're taking your money to help you talk to your dead relatives, I think that's one of the most wicked things a person could do.
Which again dates back to the Bible.
But there's a video.
Not I'm against the Bible. I don't want all you Christians hating on me.
There's a video of Kim Kardashian just posted of her calling all of her psychics because all of them said that she would pass the law exam, and she calls all of them being like, "You lied, you lied, you lied."
Yeah, the truth is they don't have access to that. That no one does. But we can. But a magician can make it seem like something impossible's happened, and because a magician tells you that it's not real, then you get that not is just the sense of wonder, but it's also a bit of a puzzle. But it also reminds you that you have a brain that can be deceived, and you're vulnerable. Whereas someone who will claim like, oh yeah, I can totally bend the spoon with my mind, and then the spoon looks like it's bending and it may actually be bent. Like, what do we do with that? You know, like that person's trying to tell you they have superpowers. They're not a magician, they're a wizard, and that. To me, that's fundamentally wrong. And that's the difference, I think, between a magician and all those other kinds of people. Those other people will use deception to take something from you.
Yeah.
Whereas a magician will use deception to give you something.
And to entertain.
To entertain, wonder, surprise, delight, joy, happiness, but also that gift of knowing like, hey, your brain is a human brain that has biases and limitations to your perceptions, and this unbelievable adaptation that can help you kind of predict the future a little bit, that can work to serve you, but also work against you if it's manipulated, and you have to be vigilant because there are things all around us that are trying to manipulate us.
So what is your take then? There was that period of time where we saw there was even a TV show devoted to ex-magicians showing us exactly how the illusions work. I hated that so much because it's like it took all of the fun out of going to see a
The
magic
Masked
show.
Magician. It was Valentino. And you know, here's the thing though. If there were only 5 tricks or whatever, if there were only 100 tricks, then I think that would matter. But the truth is, in some ways, showing a method can be helpful to create some other feeling even farther than that. Penn and Teller do it all the time, where they will sometimes do like what's called a sucker gag, where they'll let the audience believe they're revealing a method, and they are, and then they'll use now the fact that the audience is thinking a certain way to get them even harder on the next thing. And
that's exciting.
That's super,
fun.
super fun. It's funny. I was working on a movie that literally just is out this weekend. It's called Now You See Me, Now You Don't.
I love this franchise so much. If you haven't seen any of the movies, go to the movies.
Yeah, no, Ruben Fleischer directed it. All of the killer cast from the past movies came back, from Morgan Freeman to Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, Dave Franco, Isla Fisher, and even Mark. I don't want to spoil it, but Mark Ruffalo has a little cameo in it.
Spoiler.
And then there's this new cast of the New Horsemen. There's these young kids that are freaking awesome. It was great to work with them. And when I say we, myself and the Magic Castle, I was the supervisor of the magic department.
How exciting is that?
And we did all of the magic in this movie and helped the filmmakers and producer Bobby Cohen and all these guys make the magic as authentic and awesome as it can be. And it not tooting my own horn too much, but it turns out critically it's the best Now You See Me movie that's come out of the
That's
three.
what all the reviews say. It's the best of the franchise.
Yeah,
And,
it's fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
So that's pretty great. Which is, and it's not trying to be an award-winning kind of movie. It's trying to be a super entertaining movie. All of them were, and they're all really entertaining.
Just like the Ocean's 11 film. It's
Yes.
like, how did they do this?
Yeah.
Well, this takes it up a level because it adds, the sense of...
The reason why I bring it up, though, is because at the end of the movie, the main character basically walks the audience through all of the tricks that were done on the, to pull off this kind of magic heist that they do. And it does it in the context of a show. Like, he's on stage in front of an audience having just blown everyone's mind with this unbelievable years-long setup of a magic trick, basically. And then he tells everybody exactly how it's done. And you'd think that would feel like spoiling the fun, but in the context of the movie, it's even more fun. And there are some secrets where seeing how it works can be just as entertaining as enjoying as the experience of being fooled.
And it makes you enjoy the ride up to that and that anticipation. That's why true crime, right now, all of the 3 major new shows on Netflix, Hulu, whatever, are all true crime, where at the very end episode,
We
you
love
find
that
out who's done
punchline,
it,
don't
and
we?
you know how it works.
We're
obsessed
that
with this
punchline.
right now.
We want to see it's like why that last piece of the puzzle
Yeah.
is so satisfying to
Yeah,
play in.
yeah.
It's so satisfying to have that last piece snap in, and when you see the whole puzzle come together, it's it's kind of a magic trick in and of itself. Even if you see how the whole puzzle works, just the fact that it all fits together in the end is very, very satisfying on some primal level, and I think that's cool.
And you've talked about getting that energy from the audience when you're taking them on that journey, and there's this level of disbelief. And I have to tell you, when you go see a show at the Magic Castle or any magic show, that audience is one person at that same time. Everybody is in disbelief. Everybody laughs. Everybody claps. It doesn't matter how old you are, what class you're from, what your orientation is. It kind of unites everybody in disbelief.
It does. There's something weird about how magic works on our brain, where it does basically make us all the same.
Yeah.
In that moment, we realize, oh shit, we're all in this together, aren't we? Okay. And that's cool. It's a very unifying thing. And in fact, if you were to jump into that world, if you were to become a magician and interact with other magicians, you'd realize the diversity amongst us is absolutely astonishing. Not just in what we look like and where we come from and or our ages or whatever, but just our fundamental beliefs and ethos. It's crazy unifying how magic is. And there's people that I love spending time with, that I consider to be very close friends of mine, who in any other context I might think would be the worst people on the planet. But in the context of magic,
I know what you mean.
You know what I'm talking
about? As an
about.
audience member at the Magic Castle, you'll be seated next to an 86-year-old woman, and you'll have the best conversation of your life. You'll mix and mingle. That's reflected in the audience too, but we're all unified.
There seems to be a lot of camaraderie amongst magicians.
Yes.
That's what I've noticed when we're doing the show.
That's right.
A lot of magicians, when they're on their breaks and stuff, they'll come and watch other magicians' shows and then try to figure out how the illusion trick happens. You know?
That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Like
it was cool.
yeah.
We had like all these fun magicians,
Yeah.
and this is like sitting in the audience. It was like mostly just and you're just like, oh, but we might not do the last show tonight. Nope, because everyone after finishing their shows had to come to see.
We
our
did
show.
every single show, Steve. That doesn't happen.
Every single show.
Like
Yeah, we
3
never,
shows a
yeah.
night for 7 weeks. Usually 7 days. Usually like on a Monday or Tuesday,
Yeah.
like the midnight show.
Yeah.
Like we don't end up doing because it's like it starts at 12:15.
Something like that. And we had to wait a little bit because the other magicians were trying to get to the show.
But I think everybody right now needs this kind of escape.
Yeah,
You know,
no,
we want
it's
to believe in
true.
a fantasy. And the show that's put on as well, we want to be entertained. We want to forget our troubles. And we want to suspend our disbelief. Or, our, you know.
Well, I think we kind of want to, but magic doesn't ask us to suspend it. It kind of forces us to. It's like non-consensual suspension of disbelief.
But we love that ride. Like we talked about.
Yes,
we get a
no,
euphoria.
yeah,
The
yeah.
audience is like,
Sometimes
more,
that's
more.
fun to just surrender to it.
Yeah.
You know? And it's weird. Like there's oftentimes what'll happen at the Magic Castle is a member will invite guests, and there's one, like maybe let's talk about like a typical party of 4. There's like 1 or 2 that are so excited to be there, and it's like something they've always dreamed about, going to the Magic Castle. They can't
It's
believe
legendary.
They can't believe
Decade after
they can't believe
decade.
they're in.
Yeah.
They can't believe they found somebody that could get them in because it's exclusive. You can't
is.
get in unless you're
Yep.
invited, right? And then there's a couple other people in the party that are like a little cynical about it, or like they're not really sure. Like, oh, I guess we'll go along and have. And then by the end of it, like almost every time they're like, I had no idea how much I needed that, and I had no idea how amazing this was going to be.
Randy, this is so spot on because every time I've gone, I've always gone with somebody, and I've not invited them or whatever, but they're always like, I hate magic. Oh God!
Yeah,
and I was like,
skeptical.
why no? Are you here?
Yeah.
Well, I want to go to the Magic Castle, of course, or I'm here for the beef Wellington, like whatever it is, right? But then by the end of the night, you're right. They're like, that was fun.
You're like, okay, fine, I get it, fine.
It's like people are so resistant to just enjoying it. Like, who says I hate magic? It's like,
Well, you know, it's if you don't know it, if you haven't, especially if you haven't experienced good magic, or you've seen some of the embarrassing versions of it, as sometimes it's portrayed. It feels like, okay, what's the point? Like Jerry Seinfeld did a joke. It's like, the coin's in the hand, it's not there, you're a jerk. You know, and it's like, is this the whole point to make you feel like an idiot? And it's like, only bad magicians, that's their goal. The good magician wants to give you something amazing.
all right, let's go back to 21-year-old magician Randy.
Okay.
You got inducted into the Academy. Can you share with our listeners what the Academy is?
So the Academy of Magical Arts is a club for magicians, and it was founded by Bill Larson Sr. in the pages of Genie Magazine.
He founded Genie Magazine.
Yeah. He
Yep.
founded Genie Magazine, and he was kind of fed up with every other magic club because he thought that they were being overcome with politics.
During the 50s.
No, this was in the 30s.
Early 50s.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm at
the Academy.
Academy was in 1952,
yes,
I think.
Correct. Yeah. So the Genie Magazine was in the 30s, and then in the 50s, like, I'm going to start my own magic club. I'm going to call it the Academy of Magical Arts. And he wrote in the magazine, because you are a subscriber, you are automatically a member of the Academy of Magical Arts, and that was the first kind of concept for it. So he dies at a young age. Fast forward 15 years. And his children, Bill Jr. and Milt Larson, who were, part of the family of magicians, and they would tour together when they were kids, they decided that they wanted to make their dad's dream of having a physical clubhouse for the club come true. And Milt Larson was working as a gag writer, looking at the Lane Mansion up there on Franklin Avenue, and he went up there and met Tom Glover, who bought the property, and talked him into letting him use this falling apart old mansion to restore it and turn it into the clubhouse. And that's where the Magic Castle was born. And then you needed a club to go in the clubhouse, so Bill Jr. resurrected Dad's Academy of Magical Arts and said, that's the club and this is the clubhouse. So the Academy of Magical Arts is a magic club dedicated to elevating the art of magic, and the Magic Castle is the clubhouse of the Academy of Magical Arts. And if you want to become a member, you can find an existing member. You need 2 sponsors, magician members in good standing, and you need to audition. And there's some other steps. There's an interview. There's we don't just let anybody in.
Yeah.
And in fact, recently we've gotten tighter and tighter about it. And
I've heard,
and
by the
think,
way.
And I think we're going to get even more. I think it's going to become even more exclusive as we continue to move forward. We have a lot of members. There's 5,000 members of the Academy right now, but and there are people that probably are worthy and deserve to join. But we're going to be very, very increasingly selective, working with the Academy, the Magic Castle. Yeah.
As it should be.
Yes.
But when you joined at 21, that was pretty young to get into the Academy at that age.
Yeah. So I was very fortunate. I had some great sponsors, and I didn't know how good I was because I grew up on the central coast of California, and when I moved down to Los Angeles to go to UCLA, and I really didn't know where I stood relative to all of the Hollywood magicians. And I remember my audition. It was terrifying. There were, I think there were 7 people that night, all auditioning.
Do you,
Yeah.
do you,
21
do you
years
remember
old,
what trick you did?
I do. And we went in order, alphabetical order, and because of the way it worked out, I was last because my last name was P, and that just turned out that was the last letter in this lineup. And I went down there after, and everybody goes down, and then they come up, and they were just like, oh man, that was so rough, that was so hard. You could just see the look on their face. They just got their asses beat down there in the audition. So I go down there, and there's it felt like 12 angry men. Like they're all like this.
Yeah.
That's intimidating.
No, that's what I've heard. It's like this young punk.
And they're old guys, and they gave me nothing. No expression, no feedback, no nothing. And I've got this set that a bunch of tricks. I had this routine that I had developed that was a coin trick routine using a portable hole, like from the movie Roger Rabbit. There was this brilliant coin magician named David Roth who had published a book with Richard Kaufman about all of his coin magic, and he had this routine for the portable hole, this concept of like little piece of felt, and you could magically put the coin in and it's gone, and then oh look, you can pull it out again, and it was really kind of fun, and I loved that idea. So I took some of those techniques and other techniques from other coin magic and developed my own routine using the portable hole, and I had my own little close-up pat with a soft felt surface on it, and it was velvet actually, and I had little drawers in my box, so sometimes the coin would vanish and appear in the drawers.
Oh, he fancy.
I went nuts. I went into it.
Yeah.
And at one point I put the coin in the spectator's hands, and I make it vanish out of their hand. And so I had to interact with, and they're all like this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and he just goes.
Oh my God.
He doesn't even look at his hand and look at the coin. He's just looking like straight at, and I'm like, Jesus. I did the best I thought I died. I thought I was dead, dead. And so I went up, I'm like, okay, I hope they like my magic. And they brought us down one at a time, and each person came up and was rejected. And I was last. I'm like, well, that was fun, I guess. Nice shot. And I go in there, and one of the older guys says, "You're in, kid, and we'd like to book you for the close-up room." And
Jesus.
I was like, what does that even mean? You understand that the night I auditioned was my first time ever stepping foot into the Magic Castle.
I was going to ask, what was your first time?
Yeah.
I hadn't even
Walking
seen
in.
a show in the close-up
Wow.
room yet when that happened. So that was something. That was
At 21 years old, this is all happening. I mean, I can't even imagine where your mind is at.
Well, it was exploding. But it's weird too, because I'd grown up like reading Genie magazine and reading about the Magic Castle, and I was suddenly in this legendary place, and then they were welcoming me in, and it was almost like instant. Like I stayed the whole night and watched as much magic as I can, and I ended up talking to a lot of the people that were the judges, and some of them ended up becoming friends, and or mentors, I should say. And it was wild how quickly the tone just shifted.
Now,
Once they, this guy's one of us.
Yeah.
This guy is like, and they knew that I, like, whatever I had going on, even I'm 21, I'm not nearly as good as I will become later, but they could tell, like, I had the bug. They could tell that I was bitten, and that was it, and magic had me. And we can tell. And I can see that in people too. You can tell. You just know. You can know the difference to someone that like, oh, they got the magic set, or they learned one trick really well from somebody, and someone who just becomes obsessed and they just cannot stop thinking about it, and they're built for it. And we can just feel that, and we know, and that's how we know we're with our people. It's kind of hard to explain, but
it's also the energy that you have when you walk into a room, and an audience can feel that. An audience will make up their decision, I believe, for a magician in the first minute or something.
That's
that's part of the showmanship.
That's about showmanship. That's about the relationship that an entertainer can develop with their audience, which, you know, which is very important if you're performing. There are some magicians who are absolutely incredible magicians, friends of mine, that can't perform for shit.
Wow.
But like, some are just mental archivists. They fucking know everything. Some are inventors. They've invented stuff, and they give it to the performing magicians to do the stuff. So not all magicians are meant to be in front of people or meant to be on stage. But that's not what makes one a magician. What makes one a magician is having this kind of fundamental understanding of the way the human mind works, and being comfortable with exploring deception, exploiting the way the brain works, but only wanting to use that power to give something to people, and never wanting to use it to take something away. And when you have that soup all mixed in together, that's what makes a magician.
I'm spellbound right now. You haven't done a trick. It's just like this. All right, let's talk about this magical collection you own. And you shared with the public. You shared a lot of it. From Cardini, Houdin. What are your maybe like top 3 favorite
You know what's
things
funny
own?
is, like, I have been called a collector, and in fact I think I've even maybe have referred to myself as a collector at times, but I don't feel like a collector. I think a collector has a specific kind of goal, and they're trying to fill in the pieces to make that collection more complete than it was before. And I don't think that's me, but I do have a lot of really interesting and important magic artifacts. But if I have a goal, it's that magic is meant to be performed. And so a lot of the things that I get, it's either because I think I have an angle on how to use it, or because it's the right thing for something I'm trying to do, or it's because it's something that hasn't been pressed into service in a long time and I think deserves to be. And so almost everything that is like part of what others might call a collection is something that I've somehow gathered with the intent to showcase it in some way. Now, in some cases, like with the Cardini stuff, that's not about performing things, but like it's part of a showcase of like, oh, now we can tell the story of Cardini because we can see it on in a display. But most of the magic props that aren't Cardini are things that I have a goal to perform with. So like one of them, for example, is this thing called the light heavy chest. Have you ever heard this? This is a crazy story.
Are you ready? I'm having another sip.
Gather around, kids. Gather around.
So the light.
No, but you own this.
Yes, I own the hero, the one. So before a magician named Robert Houdin, we were all buskers. We would perform in the streets, and or maybe in a court or something, or in a parlor, but we weren't on stage. And Robert Houdin was a French magician that was started more kind of attached to theater and a bit to aristocracy. And I think he discovered magic from buskers, had the bug, fell in love with it, learned a bunch of stuff, and then because of his background and his reach, he brought it to the stage. He was the first magician to perform magic on stage, and he kind of made that idea of like, here's the named magician, Robert Houdin, the conjurer, the wizard. And you've heard of Houdini. That's like Houdin.
Yeah.
That's where Houdini's name comes from. He's following in those footsteps. And the magicians that are now today, the big ones like David Copperfield, David Blaine, Penn and Teller, their names are the act. Their names are that's the what's on offer is this person with this ability to do this. And that all comes from Houdin. And there was a moment when Napoleon was having trouble with the Algerians, and they were going to revolt. and there was conflict and war brewing. And look, there's a lot of versions of the story. I'm going to tell the most fun version of it from the magician's perspective. And certainly when Houdin later would, either through himself or through his people, make sure the story was told, it was amplified in a way that a magician would to make it be even more important than it ever was. But let's do it the fun way, okay? And the historians could find tons of little, maybe it's not that much, but we're going to do it the fun way. Okay, so the Algerians are uprising, and Napoleon realized that a lot of what was going on here was that the sort of the shamans, I guess, of the tribe were kind of hooping these guys up on goofballs, so they weren't really afraid of dying in battle. And there's some different kinds of witchcraft, drug-induced, going on here that was
brainwashing,
making it very difficult to deal with these guys. Even though we've got cannons and muskets, they don't seem to care about dying too much, and this is going to be a big hassle. And they're getting and so the thought was, well, what if there was a wizard war? What if Napoleon could prove that French magic was superior to Algerian magic, and maybe that would keep them in line?
What kind of leader thinks this way, by the way?
Yeah, well, it was a more superstitious time, and this is a very superstitious population.
Yep.
Right.
So Robert Houdin goes down there and challenges to take away the strength of the strongest Algerian warrior, and he uses this object, this little box, that now we call the light heavy box. And this little box is set on a table, and a little French girl is invited to go over and just lift the box. And she can lift it because it's just a little box. And now the strongest Algerian warrior is presented, and he does a ritual and saps the warrior's strength. And he can't lift the box. He can't lift the box. Little girl lifts the box. He can't lift the box. And of course, he can give the strength back to the Algerian warrior. This was performed in a way that was very convincing, and it worked. And there was a treaty formed, ultimately, between the Algerians.
Yeah.
Talk about how magic has made history?
Yes, yeah. Well, it's even deeper than that, because with the French treaty with Algeria, you remember, fast forward to World War II, and the Nazis have basically taken over northern Africa to get access to the oil fields. And in the end, the war was about resources. In the end, whoever had the gas had the engine. And Rommel was there in North Africa, and Patton challenged him, coming in through Algeria. And if that treaty didn't exist, conceivably that challenge to North African oil fields might not have existed, which conceivably means that if Robert Houdin didn't do the light heavy chest, we might all be speaking German right now. Which is wild.
I'd be very popular.
I'm sure you would.
And it's weird to think that is one possible interpretation of what could have happened in an alternate universe. But I have the light heavy chest, and it's astonishing. And I mean,
that's
It's
spellbinding. I mean,
it's pretty wild too, because one of my friends has the best magic collection in the world, David Copperfield, and he's got a museum.
one of my friends,
David Copperfield. Whatever.
He's got a museum in Las Vegas, which is absolutely unbelievable. It's by invitation only, but historians and magicians who reach out to him tend to get an audience and tend to get access to the museum. But he has literally everything. One of the first times I visited, when he was just starting to put the museum together, he brought me to a safe that he had, and he took this contraption and he put it in my arms, and he said, "This is why we're here." And I'm like, is this the apparatus for Houdin's broom suspension, which was the first trick that he performed on stage? Houdin did. And it was the big thing that he
Did
marketed.
he make you put on gloves, or he just like shoved
No,
it in
he
your
just put it in my hands.
Oh, wow.
Like it was here it is, and it's like this was it. This was the hero. And then he brings me into this room where he's got literally everything of Robert Houdin's. He's got the patisserie, which is another amazing thing. He's got all of the mystery clocks, like everything. He's including the hero. but he had a replica of the light heavy chest.
And you're like, oh, that's cute.
You're like,
Boom.
But you know what's funny is I'm literally, gosh, I hope he doesn't watch this.
I hope he does.
So one of the greatest apparatus builders that's ever lived lives in Pasadena, a guy named John Gahn, and he's had my light heavy chest for a couple years now, and we're building a replica, but we're also building a version that is designed to explode. So imagine I do the trick now.
Like a prank, though?
Yes, yes. So imagine I do the trick.
You give it a cover and he blows it up on
Yeah, so imagine I do the trick, right? And you perform it. Here's how Robert Houdin performed it. Da, da, da. And then whoever you get is playing the role of the big, strong Algerian. Now, when they did the trick, it was very important that they never got to feel what it was like to lift the chest. But we know the story of history. You're not an Algerian warrior. Sir, would you like to experience what it would feel like to actually lift it? Let me pretend to give you your power back.
Yeah.
Go ahead. And raise it up high into the air proudly. And he does. And then it breaks apart, and the pieces fall everywhere. It's just calamity, and it's designed to be breakaway. And the audience is imagine after hearing all this history,
the silence,
and this artifact of invaluable importance just falls apart on stage in front of you. It's beautiful. So we
however we can help.
We performed a prototype of it at the Magic Castle for Richard Kaufman's retirement from Genie magazine, and it killed. It was the best thing. So I have one.
The shock on their faces, like.
So I have this being made,
it's very
and
punked.
I'm actually gonna.
Very punked.
I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna give it to David Copperfield on Thanksgiving.
But this show comes out.
That's in a couple of weeks.
The show comes out like right before Thanksgiving week, so we probably won't see it before it.
What's that?
I said this episode
So
come out
I'm
like
just
before
trusting
that.
he's got more. He's got other things to do. But somebody's going to tell him.
We're very popular with the boys.
Somebody's going to see this and be like,
yeah.
"Hey, David, you got to check this out." So don't. If you're watching, don't blow it. Nobody tell him until after Thanksgiving. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Randy, there's so many other things that we need to talk about, but I know we're on time. You own some Houdini stuff, and also now being the new owner of Magic Castle, there's artifacts that you're just around. I'm going to get a little personal if you don't mind.
No. How personal?
Houdini was obsessed with the afterlife. He was obsessed. And any fan, just knows that. He promised to make himself present in the after fact.
Kind of. He was a skeptic.
So I have another podcast where I'm the skeptic on a paranormal.
Yeah, okay.
But we talk a lot about haunted things, haunted items. And my co-host is a witch.
Okay.
And we're talking magic with a K.
Yeah, okay.
And she talks about a lot of these haunted things are just imprints that people put on. The actual item does not have any power itself.
Yeah, our brains do.
You've been around these things. Yeah. I don't know what your religious approach is. I don't know what your life after death approach is. How do owning some of these artifacts affect that? And have you ever felt any energy from these things or from the Houdini story?
The Magic Castle notoriously is haunted.
A lot of people believe that. So Houdini, was a famous debunker of mediums that would claim that they could talk to dead people. Like
the seances were so popular at the time, and they were using every trick. Yes.
And he knew that, especially at that time, spiritualism and spirit theater was a big deal in the era that Houdini was peaking. And he had an agreement with his wife Bess that after he died, that she would continue to host seances and invite whoever would make a claim that they could talk to him in the afterlife, and that there was a secret code word between them. And of course, none of them could divine it because it's not real. You can't talk to dead people. They're dead. And shit, there's live people sometimes we can't talk to because of the way the brain works. It's you lose part of the brain, you're going to lose memory, you lose other parts, you lose personality. If we lose the whole brain, it's all gone. But this was a very important crusade for him. And we carry that tradition on at the Magic Castle all the time. Rob Zabrecki will host a Houdini seance for you. The very last best Houdini seance was on the rooftop of the Knickerbocker Hotel. And in attendance was that gentleman I mentioned earlier, William Larson Sr., who founded Genie Magazine, founded the Academy of Magical Arts. We have a photograph of
family is
him
the Magic Castle.
right next to Bess. We have another photo of Bess Houdini on the porch with Milt Larson, who built the Magic Castle, and he's doing a coin trick for Bess. And Bess gave, she had this brooch that was given to her by the Tsar of Russia. She gave
You
it,
own that.
Yes, yeah. Well, my wife does.
Oh.
She gave it to she gave it to Jerry Larson, who then gave it to to Milt Larson's wife Arlene Larson, who sold it to Copperfield, who then sold it to me, and I gave it to my wife.
What a great present, by the way.
Yeah.
What'd she give to you? Here's your tie.
It's pretty wild, but yeah, all those ties are there, and
But do you
and a
ever
lot
feel
of the
any
Houdini
energy?
artifacts are there. So it's impossible to enter that room, the Houdini seance room at the Magic Castle, and not feel it. And I am 100% through and through a skeptic, and I do not believe in anything supernatural. But when I am in that room, it's impossible to not feel that energy. But what I think I'm feeling is what my brain is doing, because I know something.
Your heart beats a little faster.
If I took someone who knew none of that and put them in that room, they would not feel that.
Have you done that?
If I took all of the objects in the room and put them in boxes, cardboard boxes, and set them in an unimportant corner of a warehouse,
see what you're saying.
and I took someone who did not know anything and stood them right in the center of that, they would feel nothing. They would just be in a room full of cardboard boxes.
You should test that though. Bring someone
We
up
have.
there. Oh, you have?
Not that specific thing, but we've done
like
plenty
in
of
that room
science
that-
on this as a species.
You tell the movers, pick which boxes are important.
But if we understand, and this is what's so amazing about our brains, if we have the right context and the right information, and you put us in the right place, our brains will do exceptionally powerful things and create unbelievable amounts of energy. And I absolutely feel it when I'm amongst those props, when I'm amongst those artifacts, and when I'm amongst the spirits of Houdini.
But you've never experienced anything supernatural, anything paranormal.
I have had experiences, but I don't believe they have supernatural explanations.
Got it.
But I also
I'm
live my life among magicians, and we are constantly fucking with each other.
Tricksters.
But this is why religion has been so successful,
Right.
because you put an idea on an object and you tell people that's the object, then you feel
Yes.
this
Yeah.
awe, and
Yes.
it's kind of that suspension of belief.
Yeah, and you can bring a skeptic like myself to tears with the right
Yes.
context.
Right.
That's
100%. 100%. And that's something, it says more about who we are than it does about the nature of the universe.
I could talk to you about so much more. But I want to talk about your purchase of the Magic Castle. You did
Okay.
2022.
Yeah.
What were you thinking? It's the pandemic. What the hell?
Well, it was a weird situation. So the family that owned the real estate, the Glover family, it was originally purchased by Tom Glover, and he owned a lot of real estate all over Hollywood. And after he died, there were 12 descendants that all had a different amount of equity in it, and the kind of deals. So Tom Glover Senior, when he did the deal with Milt Larson for the Magic Castle, it was a handshake deal. And the deal was, here's the keys, Milt. Have at it. Build whatever you want. When you set up your cash register, give me a piece.
That's how deals were done,
That
though.
was basically the deal.
Yeah.
And they did it. And that deal worked for 50 years.
Yeah.
That deal worked for 50 years. And almost every one of Tom Glover's arrangements with the people that would use the property that he owned were versions of, not necessarily all handshakes, and over time, eventually the handshakes were replaced with real contracts, but there were these kinds of arrangements that weren't really based on a base rent concept and more about participating in whatever revenue is generated by whoever's got that real estate. So now imagine, fast forward, that you're a descendant of Tom Glover, you're participating in this empire that he's built, and so you're getting little bits of all these arrangements where there's revenue share with all these businesses running on all these properties. And then a pandemic happens, and all these businesses have to close, and the revenue goes to zero. And some people are responsible and know how to save, and maybe they can be fine if their revenue goes to zero for a while, but maybe a lot of us aren't. One way or another.
I'm glad you looked at me when you said that, because I was like, oh, okay.
One way or another, the Glover family was ready or needed or something, they were going to divest the real estate. And there were bids, and there were developers bidding on the real estate, including one who we saw the plans for. And the plan was to build, it's prime Hollywood real estate. Condominiums and apartments.
And the building was built in 1909, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And, shit, man, everything I know about entertainment I learned in that building. My wife and I were married on the stage.
Yeah.
Like, I proposed to her.
I feel like it's a historical landmark at this point.
Yeah. And
It is.
And I'm
it is
and I'm
actually.
just
so then they can't get rid of it, right?
Well, what does that mean though?
Yeah.
Right.
Like I saw that the
today's-
plan was to completely surround it,
Oh my God.
so you wouldn't even be able
so
to
the
see
castle-
it.
the castle
you wouldn't even be
itself
able to
would
see
be
it
there.
from Franklin, and
Yeah.
then over time starve it out.
No.
You over time there's decay. The right people on the council, you can change you can make any rule is not etched in stone. It's the consequences of people, and you get the right person in the right place, and you can knock down the east wing of the White House. Who gives a shit about this little wooden thing?
Yeah.
And I want to touch on your memory though, like getting married there. For some people, it's also the best night they've ever spent with their spouse. It's their date night. They got
Yes.
invited there one time. Or for some, it was the start of their career.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
this building
it
has so much
is, and
energy
so
and
like
history.
I think of the gravity of it and how personal it is to me, and I know because they're all my friends that for almost every magician that's been moved, touched, and created by that place, it's the most meaningful place in the world. And there's a member of the Glover family who married a magician. And she called me to tell me this was going down. And then one of the Larson family, the founding family, called me to tell me this was going down. And they both had the same thing, the same pitch, which is, this is happening. Somebody needs to come in and save this. And we think it needs to be you and your wife. We think that you and Christy have to be the ones to do this. And I was like, oh my God. So I went out to Christy, my wife was in the pool, and I went out and told her. And she immediately called Erica Larson, who's also one of the Larson descendants. And she said, you fucking bitch. We're going to end up owning this fucking thing. What have you done? It's going to ruin our friendship. But it's actually been amazing. My wife and Erica are closer than ever because, we're together on this mission. And Milt Larson, the founder, when he talked to me about this, he told me how important this was and how this is his entire life's work. And what he pledged was that if I do it, that he would come on and also make sure that we could put both the real estate and the intellectual property, because he owned all the intellectual property, that we'd combine that into one entity for the first time in history so they can never be separated.
Wow. Smart
And
move.
so Milt became our chairman. We created this new entity, Magic Castle Enterprises. It holds the real estate and the intellectual property. Milt became the chairman. Erica Larson's the president. Jessica Hopkins is the COO. Jessica is a Larson as well. She's Erica's niece. And through dumb luck, she is a professional, an executive. She worked with the Walt Disney Company for over 20 years, including working in Bob Iger's office for a decade. And she had just been, but she had been moved to Washington, D.C. because Disney bought National Geographic, and she did the integration for the executive team. And I called her when they were just finishing that work. And I said, do you want to come back to Los Angeles and run the family business? And she said, hell yeah, let's go. And so we put it all together and we did it.
It's like the future is saving the past.
Yes.
100%. How excited. We have so much more to talk about.
I'm sorry.
No, but this is amazing.
Let's
So I
do a
just have to
follow-up
ask. No, we definitely, I have, yeah. Do you, since you own the Magic Castle, do you ever, this is in my fantasy.
Okay.
Like, you own these artifacts and now you own the Magic Castle. Do you ever go there when there's nobody else there and you walk just through and you're like, I own this?
A little bit, but I'll tell you, I don't feel like an owner in the possessive sense.
Yeah, I feel that.
more like a custodian. I feel like Christy and I feel like, no, right now it's not a thing for us to have our way with. It's a thing that we have a duty to. and we're working very, very hard. You know, the entity we created, Magic Castle Enterprises, officially takes over the commercial operation on January 1st. We worked it out with the Academy. The Academy is a nonprofit, so the Academy can now focus entirely on its magic-oriented mission and all those things you want to protect from a commercial entity, like awards, you know, in the university and the library, and things that you don't want commercial interests imposing upon. But then you want the commercial side, though, to be able to run. And there hasn't really been an investment into the Magic Castle in the last 30 years. Yeah. And you know, we're doing pretty good, and we're really excited to spend some money because, you know, everyone has hobbies, and it turns out we put our energy and our resources into things that we love. And so we get to attack this not thinking of it like a business or something to extract value from, but to make freaking awesome by putting value we've earned through our other things into making it great. And we're so eager to get started. I can't wait.
Also, if you have a subscription to Genie Magazine, you get to visit the Magic Castle once a year.
Oh, that's true. I think that's true.
It is true. I went to the website this morning.
We might be closing that loophole.
Today.
Right.
To me, it's an imposition on the exclusivity of the place.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can also get into the Magic Castle if you stay at the Magic Castle Hotel,
which is right next door, by the way.
Yeah, and
you can literally stumble after. You guys make the best martinis.
We had to buy that too, and it's kind of cool. And the guy that runs it, it's amazing what he's able to do, given the fact that it's like a 1950s. You know, hotel that he's kept up, and it's just absolutely. But for
the whole experience, it just makes it.
It's pretty fun, and it's wild that he gets better TripAdvisor scores than like the Four Seasons. But the truth is, what I dream about and what he dreams about, like, we need to invest in that too. I want to see the Magic Castle Hotel.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
Being like what that should be, you know.
Where's your room key?
Yeah, exactly.
I said boop. That was probably the gayest thing. Magic Castle. Other than Neil Patrick Harris, that's probably the gayest thing. Magic Castle.
You know, I'll tell you what. The Magic community has always been very comfortable, close with, and allied with the LGBT community, and I think because there's some fundamental identification there about, you know, especially in the past when you had to kind of have some deception in your life just to exist. And
Liberace was one of the biggest showmen.
I know, right?
Very ridiculous. It's like women actually thought that he was straight.
Yeah.
That boggles my mind.
Right? And we have some incredible, very famous members who have been, you know, through the decades, who are part of that community. And I'm an ally as well. But I don't know why I got off on that tangent. But
no, but it's very interesting because I did have a question. Like I said, we could talk to you for 2 hours. But even in the gaming world, we're seeing more LGBTQ representation in the gaming world.
Yes.
And you've been part of that. You are definitely an ally. And we're hearing from the gaming world, from the Magic community, like inclusion is very important.
I'm a big gamer with Y.
Amazing. we look, entertainment shouldn't discriminate. Like, every one of us can feel joy, and that's kind of why we're here. That's like the thing that makes life worth living, is the hope to experience joy and happiness. And why let's just make more of that. Let's make it fun for all of us, and let's all have a good time together. What's the point? You know, I don't get any of the nonsense, frankly.
So real fast, I'm going to get very personal with you.
Yeah.
You have all of this presence in the gaming world. When I mean presence, your audience knows your presence there.
Okay.
You have this presence in the magician world. How do you maintain your mental health when you're balancing all of this, who you are as a person other than the Randy that we see, but then also all the business stuff that you have to deal with, and then the presentation? How do you maintain that mental health?
Well, I don't know. I don't seem to have many difficulties, but I think a big part of that is that, look, it's weird to have. I'm not a celebrity by any means, but in some worlds,
you're signing like gaming systems and like software.
In some worlds, there's people who know who I am, but they don't know me.
Yeah.
You know, and the way I think the people that I do have in my life are awesome, and I've been so fortunate. You know, in my video game company, there's people I've been working with for 25 years or more, and people that are family to me. And in the magic world, there's people I've known even longer. that I would do anything for them, and I know there's some of them would do anything for me. And having those kinds of real relationships from people who actually know you, and when you actually can know someone else and see them and see we can see each other for our best and our worst qualities and care and love each other and be on each other's teams. That to me, I think, is what helps, and that's what matters, because look, man, we only get to be here once, so like we gotta make the most of it, and some of that's about how we share our times and who we share our time with. And I've been very, very fortunate. The people in my life are really good people.
But you've also worked hard, and you've helped other people too.
I do. I love it, but I can't stop. That's more of a curse than a gift.
Always working.
Yeah.
The world's first 200-year-old magician. Here I am.
Can't stop.
So let's end the show. I know you brought cards.
I do have something. You want to see a trick?
Yes, do it.
So one of the other things some people know is that I also play poker.
Oh, God, you're probably the worst person to play poker with. I have 5 aces. Well, we only need 4.
I've never cheated. I would never in a million years cheat. But I've caught cheaters. I bet you can.
A lot of people. I bet you can.
There's things I know. I know what it looks like. So there's a reason why sometimes people love me to be at the poker table, because I can make sure the game's cool. But I had played on this show that bills itself as the world's first reality poker show. It's called Max Payne Monday. It shoots down at the Hustler Casino down in where's it, Gardena or something. And I'm pretty good at the game. And one time I think I might have the record for the biggest win ever on the show. Yeah, this one show I bought in for $3,000 and 5 hours later cashed out for $63,000, which is pretty awesome.
Like, let me buy something else.
And I keep
the Magic Castle. How about the Magic Hut?
I keep with me my winning hand.
Oh.
I have my winning hand.
So this is the cards that you won with.
Yes.
Okay. From the Hustler Casino.
This is the winning hand. Okay. So now here's the thing about poker. It doesn't. Have you ever played Texas Hold'em or something? Like, you don't need to have a good hand, or it doesn't matter. It actually does not matter what cards I have. What matters is what cards you think I have.
Yeah.
So I want you to imagine that you're playing poker with me right now. Now, if I made you believe that my hand was strong, if I bet, you might fold, because you can't beat a strong hand. It doesn't matter if I have a strong hand, just as long as you believe it. If I make you believe my hand is weak, and I bet, you might call, or more, you might raise me, and then I'll get your money because I got a strong hand, but you think I'm weak.
Yeah.
I'm going to break the rules. I'm going to show you my hand.
Okay.
I'm going to show you what I've got. Okay. But you better pay attention, because maybe what you see is what I want you to see. Okay. Are you ready? I'm going to show you my hand.
And this was the winning hand.
This is the hand. You ready? Which camera can we show this to?
You wanted 4, right?
Yeah, let's do that one.
Let's go to 4.
You ready?
Thank you, Xavier.
Here we go. There's my hand.
There's nothing there.
Can you guys see that?
Yes. It's wider than our administration.
You think it's a weak hand, right?
Yes.
But
it's all
you were paying
blank.
you looked at all 5 cards?
Yes.
Do you think you understand them? Do you remember what they were? You remember the values of these cards?
Yes.
Do you remember the value of the last card?
I think we're already being tricked.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an ace of spades.
Xavier just passed out.
So you forgot you saw the ace of spades.
Yeah.
So you don't remember even the color. I bet you don't even remember the color of the backs of the cards, do you? Do you remember that they were all blue?
White. They were.
Oh, that's right. They're all blue.
I don't see color. I just see.
So you've totally missed the values of all the cards then.
Right.
There was an ace. No.
I have the best hand. I have a royal flush and spades.
I love it.
And that's how you win.
I wish we could do that to America from red to blue.
That part.
Yeah. Randy, I can't even tell you how many more questions we have. This has been so much fun.
Super fun. Thanks for having me,
We have to mention that you have a show coming up on
That's
the
right.
24th.
So Steven and I are performing at the Magic Castle in the Parlor of Prestidigitation Thanksgiving week. We're going to be there all week. And except for Thanksgiving, we're closed on Thanksgiving. But we're gonna, it's gonna be so much fun. I am so excited. Are you excited?
Yeah. I mean,
he's been talking about it all around town.
The trick we had last time was so much fun.
Yes, it's gonna be great.
I learned a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And I'm gonna come see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I cannot wait. Randy, it's
So
been
find
such
a
a
magician,
treat.
get an invitation, and
Yes.
come check us out at the Magic Castle.
And where can people find and follow you?
I guess I am on Twitter at Duval Magic, DUVALMAGIC. And sometimes I'll interact.
Steven, where can people find and follow you?
On Instagram, it's only Steven Dehler, and then Steven Dehler everywhere else.
And of course, we bring you the show for free, by the way, on therocksradioshow.com. And that's it. It's always a grab bag of fun. You have been such a delight.
Amazing.
Yes.
Every week, you never know who's going to show up.
So educational too. I learned a lot about
the history.
music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big thank you to our engineer Xavier, who passed out at your car, and to Straw Hat Studios. Please like, share, subscribe, so we can continue bringing you this show. Until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, stay sexy, and if you drink, stay tipsy. This has been another episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at OnTheRocksRadioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.